Hello, everybody. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm using the rock band. I'm using the rock band mic right now. And welcome to the Sunday, September 17th, 2017. I'm going to do this as quickly as I can because I don't know when my family will be back or anything. But I wanted to talk about a few things. You see it in the title below, above, depending on how you look at this. I want to talk about this weekend's episode. It's the main thing about you, as well as surprisingly, Sia or Si's or Sia's new song and video for the MLP movie Rainbow. Yeah, Rainbow actually. Yeah, the I'll get into that in a moment, but let's just say if you don't like spoilers, I will precaution you right now. There could be spoilers with that music video. But anyway, let's get to the main thing about you. Now I didn't watch the episode or anything. Sorry for any noise you might hear. But I didn't watch the episode per se. I did watch it, but I kind of skimmed through it to get an idea of what it was about. Pretty much we have known for months, if not weeks. The synopsis was that Rarity was going to end up losing her mane, and she was going to lose her mane basically around the time she's supposed to do a photo shoot for a magazine done by Photo Finish. Now, now there have been somewhat mixed, if not positive reactions to this video. I mean to this episode. And what I mean by positive is the fact that a lot of people feel that um I'm trying to find out what's his name. I'll look it up here in a moment. I'll look it up here in a moment. Looking up here on the MLP forums. Um, see what it is. I know they mention him. It's Haber. I know that's the last name is Haber. Let's see, it's Haber. I know that. Let's see. I know it's. I think it's John or Josh Haber. That I think that's his name. I think that's his name. But anyway, no, I think that's hold on. I know someone did an overall review about it. Let me see if I can find that. But basically, the episode, like I said, has gotten some positive reviews. It's got some negative reviews, and stuff like that. Um, oh, here we are. This will show me right here. See, it might be a Equestria Daily. Let me check that. Uh, basically, what I'm getting at is this episode's kind of gotten some mixed reactions, if you will. The mixed reactions being the fact that some like it, some like the end result of it, and some don't. Some actually feel like, okay, we get the point of the episode. Rarity is very affectionate about her mane, and she's very not just affectionate, or very protective of her mane, and worried that if anything happens to it, it'll be a disaster. So, uh, so here we go. So basically, she's always very, like I said, very protective of it, and everything. She's very protective of it. She's well, someone did a review on it, but basically they pointed out that we get it. We understand. It's like we get it. We understand the point of it. The hints. At the beginning, because at the beginning, you have Rarity, basically, I guess, using her generosity and stuff to help people out, to help other ponies out, use her beauty and her charm, stuff like that. So so it's kind of nice to see Rarity's generosity at times, and it's kind of nice to see that beauty and the generosity she has be rewarded. But again, what I'm trying to get at is I'm trying to find it here. That's not gonna work. Let me check here. Hold on for a sec. Hold on. Find it here on Google. Let's see. It'll say here somewhere, I think. Let me just type it in. Type in maybe a name that might get it to me. Um, Josh Haber. Josh Haber. Yeah, it was written by Josh Haber, along with Christine and Joanne, the lady writers, as they're known on Twitter. And again, a lot of people feel that again, it's basically got a mixed reaction. It's like I said, some people like it, some people don't. And the reason some people like it is mainly the fact that it's funny. That yes, it's a Rarity episode, but it's also funny. And sometimes comedic Rarity episodes always, I guess, strike gold in this case, because you know it's the reactions you get from Rarity. Her over dramatization of certain events or certain moments, especially when it focuses or it centers around her. So that's one of the reasons people liked it. Another reason fans like this episode. Another reason fans like this episode was due to the fact that. Sorry about that. Just pulling up my things here, but it was also due to the fact that another reason, fans, like I said, like this episode was it felt more, in a sense, very season one scene. It felt more like an episode you would get around season 1 and 2, maybe the first two, basically an episode you would get around the first couple of seasons, first 1 to 3 seasons, the first 1 to 2, like the first 3 seasons. That's what it felt like for those that enjoyed the episode. They enjoyed it because it felt like something you saw when the show started out, because of its comedic moments, because of its message at the end. You know, the just the plot overall all felt very, as some people put it, very slice of life like, and very condensed. Basically, you didn't have them out on an adventure. You had them still within Ponyville. It was nothing very, basically, it was nothing really major, but still you were able to involve the main six in some way to help the friend. And for Rarity, again, this is one of the, probably, for a lot of people that are fans of Rarity, this is probably one of her better episodes, because it's an episode that, you know, it's funny. Like I said, it's a very comedic centered episode, but it also has a message. And that message is you got to make the best of a bad situation. You know, one thing that one of the people that reviewed this episode said was, like I said earlier, in their review, they acknowledged that, yes, Josh Heber, we get it. Rarity likes Hermione. She loves Hermione. It's pretty much foreshadowed at the very beginning of the episode before the opening theme song that she loves Hermione. So it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that something's going to happen. And it does. It does happen. Basically, and this is where the spoilers come in, so my apologies for that. But basically, they go to Zecora, who we haven't seen apparently since what? Season 5, I think, in that alternate timeline. We haven't seen much of since her appearance in that alternate timeline, the Sombra timeline, if you will, in the Cutie Remark or something. So we haven't seen much of her since then. Or as the plot would call for it, we haven't seen much. But as far as the plot calling for it, we haven't really seen much of her since, what, season 2 and 3 or something like that. So it's been a while. And my guess is the writers needed some kind of story, some kind of plot that would bring her back in. A plot that would basically say, okay, we have this other character. What do we do with her? We can't just have her gone indefinitely. Oh, I know. Let's. They probably looked at the scripts they were writing. They said, you know what? This would be the perfect episode, a perfect story to fit her back into place, to bring her back into continuity. That's why you have Zecora back. Sorry for the lag there, but that's why you have Zecora back, because of the fact that the story actually calls for it. And I like how they, from what I can understand, because again, like I said, I skimmed through the episode. I like how she basically comes up with a solution. She gives a removal, I guess you could say hair removal or removal potion to Pinky. And at the same time, she's willing to also give a shampoo potion or some kind of special shampoo to Rarity to help her get the mess that was the mess that basically, the silly string. I'll just say it right there: the silly string, the sticky silly string, out of her hair. However, I'm pretty sure a lot of people knew that the moment this would happen, the moment that Zecora came up with these potions, these vials for Pinky and Rarity, that a mix-up was going to happen. And of course, Rarity being Rarity, wanted desperately, I guess, to get the stuff out of her hair, ends up grabbing, as you would guess, the wrong vial. And that's where things start really going to town. That's when, things really go into overdrive, if you will, really start, start really focusing in on what the episode is about. Now, one thing some fans pointed out was Starlight's reaction. Yeah, I think Starlight was a little surprised, but not as much. I think it took Twilight. I don't know if it did. It take Twilight. Maybe you guys can let me know. But it took Twilight and maybe even Rarity to kind of explain. Hey, uh, Rarity loves is a. I'm guessing what it took was Rarity not just showing Starlight, what happened, but Twilight explaining that Rarity is kind of very protective of her mane. It's very sensitive about her mane. So for something like this to happen, it's really kind of surprising, for someone like her. It's really kind of surprising. Although if we go back in time several seasons, I don't know if it's the first season or second season, you had some kind of spell or mishap happen to where Rarity ended up getting completely filled up with hair. Basically, her fur, her mane just got out of control. And Spike joked around about it, called her Harity because she was nothing but hair. So, so for so for Rarity, for something like this to happen, it's not the first time her mane's gonna been messed up. A lot of people point out that her mane. A lot of people also point out that her. It's not the first time she's had destruction done to her mane or her hair, or to her tail, her mane or her tail, because you go back to the second episode, the second episode of the entire series, and she cuts off her own tail to give to Steve Magnet, to give him a full mustache again. So by her doing that, she basically has been in this position before. However, the one argument a lot of fans have with this episode, because like I said, a lot of people liked it and then some people didn't. And the argument that the people that didn't like it, and basically this episode is a mixed bag, because you have people that like it, you have people that don't like it. But one common thing that a lot of people will say is, or call bullcrap on, is how Twilight and Starlight weren't able to use any kind of magic to restore Rarity's hair. It's like, oh, well, you were able to do it several seasons ago, Twilight, and now you got Starlight sort of as your apprentice, your apprentice and everything. You have that extra dose of magic with her. You're telling me you can't do it? And they do show that they do show that both try to use magic, but it just doesn't work. It's like the potion contracts the magic. It's like they don't mix. It's like, because it was a removal potion, there's no kind of magic that can fix it. I think Zecora even pointed this out. So basically, long story short, Rarity tries to seek out other options, goes to the other main six members, and tries to get help from them. She tries to get help from Applejack, who offers her a wig. She tries to get help from Rainbow Dash, who tries to use some clouds to create a wig similar. Same thing with Fluttershy, but nothing works. Nothing can replace her mane. And it isn't until we get to the pivotal moment in the series. Rarity is in the episode, I should say. Well, Rarity is downtrodden. She pretty much has canceled a photo shoot. She doesn't want to have nothing to do. She's back to doing her, downtrodden, eating the ice cream kind of trope, which, I understand. I understand why, why shows do this, why animated or live action shows do this, because I'm not trying to be insulting, God knows I'm not. But this is pretty much a trope that's been connected with women for for who knows how long. Basically, they get deprived, they get depressed, and one of the first things they do and one of the common things, I should say, that they do, or the media has shown them to do, is get a barrel of ice cream and just start eating and eating and eating. And again, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, because that's the media. The media has painted that picture for us, and that's pretty much getting used to this day. But the point is, but the point is, but the point is, uh, basically, to kind of close this out, her friends come to her because she's in that position, and they basically say, "Look, just because you lost your mane, it doesn't mean you're still not beautiful. It still doesn't mean you're not rarity because you are. You are still you. You're still the generous. You're still the most beautiful, generous pony that anybody that we've all had the privilege of befriending, and this whole town has had a privilege of befriending." And that pretty much, or I'm guessing that's the kind of speech they gave her, or kind of encouragement they gave her. That's pretty much all she needs to find out, hey, you're still you on the inside. The outside may be a little different, but you're still you. You got to remember that. You're still the beautiful rarity, generous rarity that everybody knows and loves on the inside, even though the outside's a little bit more different. And I think, because again, like I said, I have not watched the entire episode. I think what they do is, in a way, kind of encourage her by saying that to her, by saying that to Rarity. It was a bit of a reminder of, hey, you're Rarity, be creative. And that's what she does. She ends up being creative. And what she comes up with is something that a lot of fans have come to like, and that is the punk Rarity design. She basically takes some dye that she has, fixes up what remains of her mane and her tail, and pretty much puts on a leather jacket or something like that, or a studded leather jacket and bracelet, or hooflet, as they call it. And she's pretty much gotten herself a new redesign for the rest of the episode. And everybody, I'll tell you this, the moment that happened, a lot of people have said that is probably the best Rarity moment in a while, because now you don't just have the traditional Rarity. Now you have a sort of a punk rock version of her. You have a punk rock version of her to go along with it. And a lot of people have pretty much, excuse me there, a lot of fans have already, bronies, Pegasisters, overall fans, have already started to draw pictures. I'm pretty sure they're starting to work on animations. And probably even for those that do this and sell it at conventions or through partnerships with Amazon or on eBay, some are probably working on plushes right now with the punk Rarity look. That is one thing that a lot of people said was kind of a saving grace. The fact that you gave Rarity somewhat of a new design, a new redesign, and kind of sent the message out that, again, like I said earlier, that, sent the message out that, you got to make the best of a bad situation. You always got to find the best. You got to make the best out of a bad situation. With me, I'll give you an example on that. I'm trying to get the 6th of October off so I can go see the movie, right? Well, right now I'm scheduled to work 4.5 hours. That may not. Now you might think, well, that takes away your plans, right? Not necessarily, because you see, I asked for the 6th and I've asked for the 7th. What I plan to do one of those 2 days is take the bus from wherever I'm at and go to the Turlock Regal Cinemas to see the movie. And if that means I have to do a dollar ride, and if that means I have to work and then do a dollar ride to go to the theaters to see the movie on Friday, I will do it. If it means I have to wait till Saturday to do it, I'll do it. The point is, I'm trying to make the best out of a bad situation, or an unlikely, unfortunate. It's not a bad situation because I can make money and I'm working, I'm making money and all that. But the point is, when it comes to the 6th of October, I'm going to try to make the best out of a bad situation. The bad situation being that I'm not going to get the day off, so I got to work around that. And as an example, from my personal point of view of what of trying to make something good out of something bad or something unexpected. And when it comes to Rarity, that's the same thing here. Her friends encouraged her to make the best out of a bad situation and be who she is, be Rarity, be creative. And that's why she got that punk rock look. And, she does. And what happens for the rest of the episode is she goes around town, kind of, I guess, gets refunds or does something, kind of fixes things, kind of shows the generosity she's always been known to do or been always known for. She starts showing it even more so, just like I think she did at the beginning, but now with her punk rock look. And basically, as we find out at the end, her look became an inspiration for all the other ponies in Ponyville. But that's pretty cool. So yeah, when it comes to this episode, again, I only skimmed through it. I kind of understand where they were going with this because this. I mean, now one thing that one thing, and before I kind of wrap it up a little bit, one thing that fans did find a little disappointing is even though the Punk Rarity redesign kind of helped save the episode because, like I said, it was a mixture between the fans had a mixed reaction to it. Some liked it, some didn't. The one thing again that they all agree that saved it was the Punk Rarity redesign. However, however, it didn't last long because apparently one of the things that fans were upset about or kind of critical about was after Rarity made the realization that if she had the hair removal or the removal potion, that Pinky must have the shampoo. That after they go to Pinky's and see that after they go to Pinky's and see the mess, the bubble bath mess that has occurred with her and the cake babies, and they see, and the end result of that is her hair being poofy and silky. The one thing that fans didn't like about the end of that, even after Pinky, I guess, played ignorant or something, because she did notice that there was something different about Rarity, but the only thing she said was, "Ooh, new hoof polish or something." What? Because Pinky's reaction to Rarity's look was she didn't notice at first, unless because obviously off screen they had to explain it. But her reaction to Rarity was, "Ooh, is there something different about you? New hoof polish?" Like it's obvious the difference is right in front of your face, Pinky. And now some people didn't like that. Like Pinky should be of all people the one to notice the change, the difference. But I think they just wanted to play with the fact that she was dealing with a lot. At the with the cake babies and everything that she doesn't obviously with their hair is being poofy and stylized by the shampoo that or poofy and silky thanks to the shampoo that she didn't really have time to, or she didn't really put two and two together when she saw Rarity. uh but anyway, getting back to what I was saying, after that moment, after Rarity makes that realization, they encounter and they go to Pinky's, they go to where Pinky's at and they encounter the mess that's happened. And Rarity says she'll go and get some more hair, more of that removal potion to help out. What happens is the one thing that fans have been critical, one thing that a lot of the fans were critical about here this weekend with this episode was the fact that they didn't end the episode with Rarity having the punk style. No, it's like they could have easily ended it with Pinky saying the line that she did and be done with it, right? But instead they did one thing that a lot of fans felt really kind of bittersweeted this whole thing. It's like, yes, overall it was a good episode. It was a good Rarity episode. Oh, and it had a good message, at the end. But the one thing that a lot of fans were critical about, and one fan even mentioned this in his review, was the whole time jump. In other words, instead of saying something like on the bottom saying few months later, instead we transitioned from, that's from Pinky saying the line she did to Rarity about noticing something different about her. Instead, we end up transitioning over to a few months later, and Rarity's got her main back. Rarity is basically back to being Rarity. Rarity's back to being Rarity. So, a lot of fans were, well, from what I read on the forums, at Equestria Daily, at the MLP forums, um, elsewhere, I think even on the YouTube comments where people would talk about it, some felt that the time jump wasn't necessary. It's like, you know, it's like you're messing with the space, you're messing with continuity here, because now, we have this big event coming up for the season 7 finale possibly, and yet instead of just ending the episode with Rarity still having her punk look and then going to the next episode where apparently she'll be okay, she'll be back to normal, you instead decide to transition a few months later to where her hair has grown back in. And thus you're messing, and some people pointed out to to John Haber, that you're messing with the timeline continuity. And I can understand that, because it's like, when you do something like this, you need to let the moment simmer. You need to let the moment last. Even if you end the episode the way they could have, you need to let it end. You need to, what's the old saying? You need to, how to put it? You need to suspend disbelief. In other words, you need to make the fans know, okay, she's going to get her main back, but for those that might be new to the franchise, let them have a sense of disbelief and wonderment of whether or not they're going to keep her with this new look for the rest of the season up until season 8 or the next season, or are they just going to have her go back to normal the next week or week after when she appears in the next episode? Oh, I can understand how fans feel about that, because that would have basically been a sense of, like wonderment. You're wondering, oh, they're going to keep it this way, at least for a week, and then a week or two until she makes her next appearance, or or what? Are they going to keep it for the rest of the season? What's going to happen? But instead, what do? They end up jump cutting to a few months later to where her hair is grown back, her mane and tail are grown back. But I do like one. Now I understand fans don't like that, and that's good. And that's good. That's their opinion. They don't like something. That's their opinion to say so. However, one thing I will say about the ending is how they basically show how Rarity's unfortunate situation, which she made the best out of, turned out to be the best thing that she made. That, well, what I'm saying is, hold on for a second. Get some coffee here. What I'm saying is, I like how they basically use the ending, that even though people can be critical about it jumping a few months later and all that, to where she's got her mane and her tail have grown back to normal. What I like about it is they do acknowledge the incident. They do acknowledge that when she made the best of that bad situation, thanks to the encouragement of her friends, that she still made the magazine cover. She still made the magazine, and the magazine was dedicated somewhat to her and the new look she came, and the new creative punk look she came up with, and kind of showing that in adversity you can always make the best of everything. And I like how her friends kind of come out and basically say, yeah, we went to photo finish and we said, look, this happened with Rarity, but we still want her to have this moment for everything she's done, all the generosity she's shown. We still want to have, As her friends, we still want her to have this moment, and I like that, and I like how they basically explained that the reason was because just like they told her, she was still beautiful on the inside, even if things were different on the outside. And I like how they close out the episode by showing that most of Ponyville was inspired by her creative ingenuity. Basically, were inspired by the fact that she took a bad situation and made something out of it, made something good out of it. So I like that. I really did. I really like that moment, even though some fans feel that they could have, like I said earlier, could have just ended the episode with Pinky and Rarity after Pinky said her line, and thus saved saved it somewhat as a suspension of disbelief or a suspension of wonderment, making you wonder what's next. Are they going to go and keep the style or what's happening? So I can understand how some fans feel about the ending. And to me, you can hate it, you can not hate it. I think the reason Haber and Christine and Joanne and the overall creative staff at DHX Media and the MLP and on MLP decided to do that jump transition to a few months after was to reinsure the fact that Rarity was still going to be the same Rarity, that nothing was going to change. I think that's why they decided to do it, because you got to remember, you got to not remember, but you got to realize this. Some fans would have that suspension of disbelief, thinking they've changed the style of a character and that's going to be the new style of the character. That's going to be the new design of the character. That's a lot of fans are like that. Doesn't matter what kind of show, live action or animated, that you're a fan of, you're always worried that if they do a redesign on a character, even for an episode or so, you're worried that it's going to remain that way. So, but then you find out maybe a week or so later that it's not, and they're back to the old style. With Josh Haber and Joanne and Christine, what they decided to do was they wanted to reinsure the fans, even the younger fans, that Rarity, nothing about Rarity is going to change. Here's proof. And that's why you had the jump cut that you did. And it's not just for the younger fans, the original intended audience, but it's also the older fans, the Pegasisters, the Bronies, the overall adult fan base community. Excuse me, the overall adult fan base community that would probably wonder the same thing. That's why I think they did this. So overall, again, and I understand how. I know I'm sounding repetitive, so I do apologize. I understand how some fans felt about that, but again, you have to understand why they did it. Why they did it in the first place. Why they decided to do that instead of end the episode the way they could have. So overall, though, I kind of like I thought, just skimming through it and hearing what other people say, my conclusion on it is I'm okay with it. I like it. I'm a fan of Rarity, just like a lot of people are, like Silver Quill and like MLP Silver Quill and Firebrand and Toon Critic and all them. I'm a fan of hers. I like what they do with her, and I like the development they gave her character. And this is probably one of the biggest steps when it comes to that character development, making her try to, teaching her to make the best, teaching or encouraging her to make the best out of a bad situation. So I like that about it, and that's a message that it's sent to its viewers, young and old. If there's always, despite what happens, always make the best out of a bad situation. And I like that message that they gave there. As far as them going back and revisiting this in the future, like they decide, okay, we want to go back to the Punk Rarity look and maybe expand it and give it to the rest of the main six and maybe even Starlight for a future season 8 or season 9 or season 10 episode, because I still believe we're going to get 10 seasons. I wouldn't be surprised if we do. I wouldn't be surprised if Hasbro does decide to go back and and revisit this idea. But instead of having them lose hair, just have Rarity go back and redesign the hair like she did previously, like she did previously in this episode, I should say. And let's not forget, this is not the first time the main six have had different hair mane styles. There have been several episodes where they've gone to major social events to where they've had to change their hairstyle up for said event. Or if the plot demanded it, they would change their hairstyle up because the plot demanded it. But it never stayed that way. It always changed. It always went back to the way it was. But the thing is, they would always go back and revisit these similar main styles, these similar dressed up main styles in other episodes. So if they go back and revisit the Punk Rarity look for a future episode down the line, and this time incorporate the rest of the main six and maybe even Starlight, I wouldn't put past Hasbro. I wouldn't put past DHX Media. I wouldn't put past Megan McCarthy, John Haber if he's going to write it, or Christine or Joanne or M.A. Larson or Jason Teresen or whatever his last name is. I wouldn't put it past them to do it. I wouldn't put it past them to do it because I think the potential is there to do more with this Punk Rarity or this Punk look, not just for Rarity but for the other characters. I really do. But just for anybody that wants to know, in case you guys want to know, this is not the first time this has happened in television, whether it's animated or live action. One of the prime examples I brought up when I discussed this on the MLP forums and the Equestria forums, and the Equestria Daily forums, one of the things I brought up was the fact that this had been done before, most notably in my eyes, on an episode of Family Matters. Basically, in this episode, Laura, her mom, and her aunt end up ordering some kind of shampoo, thinking it's going to make their hair silky. It's smooth and silky and all that. And what happens is when they remove the towels, ours and all that, they don't remove the towels, but you hear somewhat of a scream or something like that. And then you see the end result with Laura and her mom, and then later on Laura's aunt. They end up becoming bald, and because of the result of it, and because of the result of that, they have to end up wearing temporary wigs until their hair grows back in. Now, here's what's funny about that. That was for one time in the episode. That was a one-time deal in that episode of Family Matters. Because the next week, it's like nothing happened. They were back to normal. You see, animated or live action show, you see, it doesn't matter what kind of show it is, whether it's animated or live action. If it's got comedy as a part of it, if comedy is one of its central points at times, or comedy is one of its essential needs or essential requirements or whatever, or if there's no other kind of route to go in, script writers of animation and live action will go in this direction. They will go and do this. They will go and say, okay, what can we do for a plot? Oh, I know. Let's focus on a character or characters losing their hair. Let's focus on that as one of the plots or subplots. And that's what happens. They need a subplot to work alongside the main plot. That they'll come up with something like that. They'll come up with characters losing their hair temporarily. If they need it for the main plot, same thing. And that's what you got here. You got Rarity losing her hair, losing her mane and her tail hair temporarily as a plot. And yes, like I said earlier, they could have easily ended the episode without having to do the transitional jump, but they didn't. Instead, they wanted to reassure fans that she was going to be all right, that she was going to still be her again. She was going to get her mane back, and that's what happened. Because when you think about it, how is because when you think about it, she has her main style. She has her. Put it this way: she has her main style, her regular main design in the movie. So what are you going to do? Go back and basically reanimate months and months of movie to give her the new design you gave her in this episode? No. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to reinsure those that might believe you're going to do that, keep this new design for her as a permanent look. You're going to go and you're going to find a way to say, reinsure them and say, look, that's not going to happen. Here you go. Here you go. Here's a reinsurance. It's not going to happen. Here you go. See, she's back to having her old mane again. So, so like I said, it's nothing really new when it comes to, a creative staff, script writing or script writing for animated or live action show. If they want to, if they want to focus a subplot or a main plot onto something like this, especially if the show requires a little bit of comedy here and there, they will do it. They will do it. And this is something that's been going on for years and years and decades. So it's nothing really new. Heck, heck, if you take a look at other kind of similar situations, everybody knows I like the whole sometimes. Okay, let me put it this way: everybody knows that I'm one of those people that like the transformation story arcs. And one of the transformation story arcs or tropes that I'm a fan of is when a male, or mostly a female, temporarily gains the powers of a liquid, of a mandible substance, of goo or slime or whatever, and it's just temporarily. There have been times when a female or even a male character has, if not both, have temporarily gotten these powers, and yes, they will end the episode with these characters still having these powers temporarily and having fun with them, being mischievy and having fun, only to have them back to normal the following day or following week, depending on how the show is aired. So it's nothing new. This is just something that a lot of shows, and eventually now, My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, it was a direction they were going to go in. Sorry for the lag there. They were going to go in, and everybody knew it. I mean, how many times has MLP FIM gone and done things that pretty much we have seen before in other animated or live action shows? How many times have they done that? A lot. They've gone and done a lot of the similar things that we find tiresome because we've seen them before, and now all of a sudden, one of our most beloved shows and franchises are doing it as well. Again, it's nothing new. It's nothing really new. So, overall, like I said, it's nothing new, and I was okay with it. I skimmed through it, yes, and I might have to sit down and watch it in its entirety, but overall, I had no problem with it. I really didn't. Now that so overall, I'd say check it out. You might get a laugh, or at least read up on what people have to say about it. And I do warn you, just like with this, there might be spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. Now, last thing I want to talk about is SIA. We all know SIA is going to be voicing, or at least doing the singing voice, for Songbird Serenade in the MLP movie. We know that she has a figure out that's on Amazon and exclusive to Target that's very similar in a sense to the Rainbow Dash one we got, to where I think you press a button, which is a cutie mark, and she starts singing the song, or she starts singing some clips from one of the main songs, if not the main song from the movie, through the figure. We also know that there are going to be other Songbird Serenade figures and plushes coming out as we speak, and that will be, I guess, very soon. Um, However, speaking of Sia, not only does she do the song, not only does she do this one of the main songs for the movie, but one of the main songs, if not the main song, is called Rainbow. Now, Rainbow has been released as a single. I don't know if it's been played on the radios yet or what's going on, but it's out as a single. The soundtrack is yet to come out. I think that comes out within the next 2 weeks or a week or so. And I do plan to get it. But Sia also, of course, when it comes to some of her songs, created a music video for the movie in very Sia traditional fashion, but accompanied by clips from the movie. Now, the reason I bring this up is because even though you're getting snippet clips of the music video on YouTube here in the States, if not other parts of the country, or other parts of the world, I should say, in China, through their YouTube site, they ended up getting the full-length music video for Sia's Rainbow song from the movie. They got the full music video. And again, sorry for the lag there. And if you don't like being spoiled, or you don't like certain parts of the movie being spoiled, then you may not want to watch this music video. You may not want to watch this music video because you know why? Because it's like I said, because it's like Tune Critic Y2K said last year, and I did a follow-up on it, both on camera, like I am now, and audio-wise, on the art of reformation. I know Silver Quill did, along with I Love KP a lot, did a video on it earlier this year, I think. But one of the things that fans, like I said, have felt is being too repetitive, being too overused, is the reformation of potentially good, if not great, antagonistic villains. And let's just say this music video pretty much spoils a part of the movie that follows that trope. Again, I'm not going to say what it is or who it is. I'm pretty sure a lot of us know already who it is and all that, and how it may come about, but I'm not going to give much away for those that still want to believe they might go in another direction. But if you're not a fan of spoilers, you're not a fan of the reformation of potentially great antagonistic villains, then this music video, almost right at the beginning, is going to give you that. And just to let people know, just to let you know, what you saw in the first 7 to 10 seconds of the second and final trailer, yeah, spoilers. They spoil that too. We'll put it this way. The music video spoils that too. Now, I'm not saying the song isn't good. It's good. There is no doubt. It is a good Sia song. It's a good song for the movie, and it's a good song as far as Sia goes overall as a singer and an artist. And like I said, if you ignore the spoiling, the clips that pretty much spoil somewhat part of the movie, pretty much if you ignore those, it's kind of a very traditional Sia music video. You know, she's dancing she has rain coming down on her. She's dancing in the little river, or the little river that the rain has made, or something like that. She's lying down in that little river, or a little puddle, whatever it is, that water that the rain has made. So yeah, it's basically, if you take away the clips and everything, it's a very traditional, very creative Sia music video. But when you add in the clips, Yeah, pretty much you well, let's put it this way. Pretty much well, I'll put it this way. You'll still want to see the movie to see how it all comes about. Do you see how they get from point A to point B, as Keyframe says? And I do wish the best to Keyframe and hope she gets better and everything in her personal life. And I do apologize to Keyframe and Lightning Bliss for over tagging them and others with my videos and all that, so or my articles. So I do apologize to them for that. But what I'm saying is, that you'll still want to go see the movie to see how they go from point A to point B. Basically, how they get from point A to point B in the film. You'll still want to see how they get there. You'll still want to see how they get from the beginning to the end. You'll still want to see the bumps, the ups and downs, and all that they go through to get to that moment. But yeah, if you don't like certain spoilers for a music video or certain spoilers for something that you're looking forward to, then I wouldn't watch this music video. I would listen to the song on its own, but don't watch the music video because pretty much this spoils some parts of the movie, especially I think towards the end, if not in the middle and all that. So overall, if you want to watch it, fine, go ahead and watch it because still, people like me will go and see the movie because, like I said, we'll still want to see how they get from the beginning, point A, to the end, point B, which is pretty much spoiled a bit here in the film, or here in the music video. But overall, the song I think is okay. I think it's a nice song. I think Sia is a very creative artist, and she did a great job here. I really do. And I'm again, even though the movie, even though the music video has clips from the movie that pretty much spoil some parts of the film. Overall, like I said, if you take that away and you just focus on Sia herself in the video, I think you'll really appreciate and respect that this is just another great creative Sia video. But again, But again, like I said, if you, like I said, but again, like I said, if you don't want to watch the video because of the fact that it does kind of spoil things, then I would suggest just listening to the song. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't like about, and that's one thing I want to say. Um, when Equestria Daily reported this, they said there were spoilers within, and you could tell that the people in charge of Equestria Daily, with all due respect, don't like the fact that when they had to report that this music video had debuted on China's YouTube site. Yeah, China has a YouTube site, or at least a similar site to YouTube in a country. When they reported that there were spoilers in this video, you could tell, in a sense, that those in charge of ED were not really happy. Of Equestria Daily, they were not happy. Excuse me. For having to report this because it's like, because it's like, a lot of people will think, why even have the movie, or why even try to promote the movie? Excuse me. Why even try to promote the movie? Why even try to get people to come to see the movie if pretty much you're going to spoil the ending? Look, I can understand, and look, I'm not there at Equestria Daily. I'm not in charge of the site or anything. I'm just a member of the message board. But I will say that when I can sense maybe the disappointment when they have to tell people, oh, the spoilers contained within, like I said, you can tell they're not happy. Here's the thing. When you do a music video, yes, it's required a music video for a soundtrack, for a song that's based on a motion picture soundtrack. Yes, it's required that sometimes you use clips from, or you show clips from the movie so people have an idea of what they're going to be in store for. This is nothing new. But here's the thing. Sometimes you have to do it in a way that doesn't really spoil uh, what the movie's going to be like, how it's going to be about, what the ending's going to be like. You could do it in that manner to where you can have an idea of where it may end up, but still you have to go to the theater and watch it yourself and see firsthand how it happens. But you know what? Despite the fact that they could be more creative music videos based with these kind of music videos that are based off songs, that are for songs based, that are part of motion picture soundtracks and all that. Even though they could be more creative, it seems that for the past 30, 40 years, this is nothing new. I'm a big fan of Stan Bush's The Touch music video. I remember the first time I saw that on MTV, my mom shouted to me to come look. And even though I didn't know then what I know now, just to see clips from Transformers the movie in this music video was amazing. But knowing what I know now, I pretty much look back at the music video and it's still a great music video, but you're pretty much almost at the end of it giving away what the ending's going to be like. Even though you don't see the complete ending, you pretty much see part of the end, part of what it's going to be like. And like I said, even though back then I didn't know I was being spoiled with that ending with the ending being shown towards the end of the music video, or at least part of it anyway, the climax being shown at the end of the music video. I was just excited to see some kind of anything based, anything from the movie. But nowadays, it's like when they do this, they got to be very careful about what they do. And some studios are very careful. They're very careful about how they present the music video for the song from the motion picture soundtrack. Sometimes they'll just show the artist singing, walking down the street and singing, or walking down the roads, walking down the streets or something like that, just singing, and you don't see no clips of the movie. So you got to go and see the movie yourself to see what happens. And sometimes if they have to show clips, they'll integrate them, but they'll integrate certain clips in there so it doesn't spoil too much. But yet here, with Rainbow, you're pretty much spoiling what the ending of the movie or what certain parts of the movie are going to be like for certain characters. Now, again, that's the choice. They want to do that. That's the choice. People are still going to enjoy the music video if they want to see it. And just like with any previous music videos based on songs from motion picture soundtracks, they're still going to want to see the movie just to see how they get from point A to point B. Disney is not innocent of this either. But yet, even when they do it, and they show clips and everything, they're still careful about showing what they're going to show, even though they'll pretty much, in a sense, almost give you an idea of exactly how the climax and ending is going to be. People still want to go see the movie. They want to see how they get from that point A to that point B. So as far as SIA's Rainbow song goes, like I said, it's great. It's a great SIA song. The music video, like I said, you take away the clips part, you don't show the clips or anything, it's a great SIA video. It's a great SIA video no matter what. But if you add the clips in, you better be prepared to be spoiled a little bit of what certain outcomes in the movie will be, what certain outcomes from the movie will be shown. Even though a lot of us will still go and see the film when it comes out. Because like I said, we'll still want to see how they get from point A to point B. So overall, that's all I have to say about the SIA Rainbow music video. If you want to know more about it, Equestria Daily has a report on it, and they have a link to the video if you want to see it. One other thing I want to talk about real quickly. I know a lot of people. How do I put this? I mentioned this before real quickly, and I'll mention it here. A lot of people are very vocal at times of how certain writers will write stories and in the MLP show, as well as how they write them, and how when they write these episodes, they write the script for these episodes, how they will write certain characters. Sometimes it all depends. You know, people said one thing that a lot of the community, from Silver Quill to Firebrand to Dr. Wolf 001 to many others have said, is that you see the difference in writers throughout the seasons. Whether they're the head person in charge, whether they're the head writer in charge, creative force in charge, or whether or not they're person that's allowed to the person that's given the okay for the script to be animated and brought to life. It all depends on how certain writers present characters. When a lot of people compare the fact that when Lauren Faust was running the ship for at least the first 2.5 years, that she put primary focus on the main six. When Megan McCarthy came around and took over the helm, she started focusing more on Twilight and the other main six, either individually or together as a duo or a trio. Some people said that when Megan McCarthy came around, Spike went from being an important character, which he's starting to be again in some eyes, to being nothing more than comic relief, nothing more than comic relief here and there, or being basically utterly useless. But again, it all depends on who writes the show, who's writing the episode. Certain people like M.A. Larson will sometimes come around and use an episode to speak to the fans. Slice of Life, Fame and Misfortune are good examples. People like Jason Teresen, Joanne and Christine, they'll use episodes to pretty much focus on characters like Spike. They'll pretty much try to expand more on the MLP Friendship is Magic universe by incorporating other characters as the main focus, like Starlight and Trixie. The point is, when it comes to how the show is written and how certain characters are written, it all depends on who's writing the episode, who's writing the episode, and what the main agenda is. Sometimes a writer will, whether they're the head person in charge or not, or whether they're someone that's going to write an episode for that week or that next several weeks, it all depends on their agenda and how they feel about certain characters. Megan McCarthy obviously, understands Spike's role as far as the main six goes, but pretty much doesn't see much with him. Doesn't see much potential. But yet she's incorporating him in the movie. So maybe somebody spoke up to her and said, look, this guy's an integral part of this group. You need to treat him as much. It's the same when certain writers come out and they write for Rainbow Dash. They'll either write her in a way that makes her look good, makes her look mature, will make her look, basically make her look the way she's supposed to be, kind of balance it out to where, she has an ego, but she's also very humble. The same goes when a writer goes and writes something for Applejack or for Fluttershy or Pinkie Pie or Rarity or even Starlight or Trixie or Twilight. It depends on how they view them from their eyes. It's like, okay, it's like, let's say M.A. Larson one week could write Rarity a certain way, and then the next week, Jason Teresen can have a script out where he writes Rarity another way. It's the same thing like with Applejack. Joanne and Christine did a tremendous job when it comes to Perfect Pair, and Applejack's part in that. But the next week, you could have someone like Josh Haber say, yeah, that's great and everything, but this is how I see Applejack. Well, this is how I see Applejack doing things or handling things. The point is, we may not agree with how certain episodes are presented, balanced out, created, but most importantly, we may not agree of how the main six and their friends like Starlight and Trixie may not be written. We may not enjoy how they're written or focused on when it comes to the writers. But again, we have to remember sometimes certain writers have agendas. Maybe they just don't feel a character is that important. Maybe they feel a character needs to be brought down to earth. Maybe they feel a character should be more full of themselves, or more, or still have a bit of that antagonistic part, or have a little bit of have a little bit of an antagonistic side to them. You know, not a lot of people are going to agree with. You know, not all the writers at DHX Media, at the MLP FIM staff, are going to agree how they write certain characters. You know, a lot of people like Sparity, you know, which is Rarity and Spike together. And one has to remember that when they did Secret of My Excess, they did that under Lauren's watch. I think it was M.A. Larson that did it under Lauren's watch. And I believe a lot of fans feel that if Lauren still stuck around, we might have more focus on Spike and Rarity at times as a potential couple, which I still believe could happen, depending on what the movie gives us and what the next season or so gives us as well. But the point is when you look at it overall, it all depends on how the writers feel about certain characters. Yes, they may get told by people like the heads up at DHX Media and Hasbro that, hey, you have to put more emphasis and focus on all the characters as a group. You have to treat them equally, da 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 da. And they'll have to do it. But sometimes but at most times when they don't get something like a mandate or anything telling them to do that, they will write an episode and write characters the way they feel they should be written. Even though fans will come out and say, no, that's not how that should be done. This is how, well, that's not how that character should be written. That's how this character should be written. And there's no doubt that they hear us. But I think honestly the point is, and like I said, again, it's not that they don't hear us. They do. And apparently we could sense and apparently we could see the result of us coming out and telling them, look, you need to do this. We suggest you try this. And sometimes they will. Sometimes they'll be like, okay, we'll take the fan suggestion and do it. And they do it. So, again, again, like I said, it's all depending on who's writing. When M.A. Larson, did Fame and Misfortune, and he did that ending where he said where he had Twilight basically say that the ponies out there, which represented the fan base, the community, the Bronies and Pegasisters, can wait and all that. It's like I said before, that was basically M.A. Larson and the creative staff and Megan McCarthy's way of saying, look, you want answers to the questions you seek? You'll get them, but you're going to have to wait. It's going to take time. So overall, though, to close this out, I'm just going to say that we may not like how certain writers write the characters or present them, but in the end, we have to realize it's all basically we have to realize in the end, it's all about what their agendas are with the characters and how they see them and how they feel they should be presented. And that's about it. I mean, if you want a good example, I'll tell you this. I've been a long-time Sonic fan, and I've read the comic book since almost the beginning. Well, not necessarily. Well, yeah, since the beginning, and I've been a subscriber since issue 72 to the very end, and that's a long time. But I'll say this: just like any longtime fan, I noticed a difference in character interaction and representation depending on the writers. One core character is Sally Acorn. Depending on who wrote for her, she was either written as a perfect balance for Sonic, a perfect foil and balance for Sonic, or she was written as an over insaturated Mary Sue, as some people put it, or an over dramatized drama queen, self-centered brat or whatever, depending on who wrote for her. And sometimes the writers even came out and said that they wrote Sally a certain way because they didn't like her and they wanted her out of the picture. The point is, even with a comic like Sonic the Hedgehog, or comics like, let's say, the X-Men or Superman or Justice League or Spider-Man, depending on who the head writer or writers are of that book, of that issue, it all depends on how they view certain characters, how they feel they should be presented. And the same goes here with MLP FIM. You may not like how, let's say, Megan McCarthy will write an episode and treat Spike in it. You may not, or represent Spike in it. You may not like how Josh Haber may write an episode with Applejack or Rarity and how he would present them in it. But again, it's all basically depending on how they feel a character should be represented and looked at. It's just their interpretation. It's not one person. If it was one person that was overseeing it and saying, no, you have to rewrite the character like this because that's how the character's supposed to be, then that's the only way you'd get a character, depending on the difference of writer for each episode, remaining the same as they are. So overall, that's really all I have to say here on this MLP FIM talk about this weekend's episode. It's the main thing about about the SIA Rainbow music video that's come out, and about basically how the characters are written by certain writers and all that on the show. So, and how certain writers would view them. So overall, that's really all I have to say, folks. Thank you all for watching live. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching post live after this has been uploaded. Big shout out to people that have subscribed to me and those at my job that have enjoyed watching my video. Big shout out to you guys at my Walmart job in Patterson, California. Thank you guys for the encouragement there and subscribing and watching my channels. And really, that's all I have to say, folks. But again, thank you all to those watching live, that watch this live and watch this post live. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. And I'll talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care. I am out.